Hello, everybody, and welcome to What's the Story podcast, WTS 265. My name's Danny Murray.
And I'm Graham Merrigan.
How are you, Graham Merrigan?
Excellent. How are you, Danny?
Excellent, tired, but hungry. When we do these podcasts, they tend to run a little bit late at times, and as a result, we don't get dinner. And by the time we're finished recording and we do the intro and outro, I do be 11.
Yeah.
So I am.
And we recorded twice in one night.
We did. It's a double whammy this week, which is great. It's great because we're going to have a week or two off due to an upcoming event that myself.
Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. Not me and Danny. We're not going for a civil union just yet. But
not
Danny
yet.
And the lovely Oksana are getting married.
Exactly. Myself and yourself be marriage number 2, Graham.
Yeah.
You'll be my second wife. So yeah, we'll be taking a little bit of a break around then because I won't be around, and also I fully intend on there being a hangover that lasts long enough that we won't want to record an episode for a little bit longer. But until then, we'll keep the episodes coming, and this week we're joined by a familiar friend. It's been a while since he was last on the podcast. He's a comedy sensation, and you'll know him by his name, which is Adam Burke. Delighted to welcome back friend of the show, Adam Burke. The man from Bray, he was brought us to Bray Comedy Festival, Hardy Har Comedy Club. Anyone who's gone to Bingo Loco will no doubt have had an absolute blast with Adam shouting at him. But it's great to see you again, man, even if it is on screen as opposed to in person. How are you keeping?
I'm great, yeah. It's great to be back. Lads, it's been about 4 or 5 years, I'd say.
It's been
Believe it or not.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
4 or 5 years since we've done this podcast together. It's a joy to be back.
It is great to have you back, man. It's
What have you been up to, Adam?
What's that?
What have you been up to? You moved job, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I was working for 14 years directly with young people as part of a youth project. And I had the opportunity to move into youth mental health services and to really be part of a project that built a local service up from the ground up because it's new to the county that I'm in. So that was quite an appealing move, if you like. Now, it was quite hard. It was hard to move away from the young people that I worked with and also the nature of the work that I was doing with young people into what is a much, I think, further reaching role. So certainly has a wider reach, a larger audience, and maybe you see less young people, as frequently. But the impact of the work and what we're trying to build in our area, like that was the big appeal to me. I kind of felt I had done everything I could do in the role I had assumed for so many years. And also it's just a personal kind of thing. But at some level, I kind of felt like you outgrow, as a youth worker, you outgrow maybe... I don't know. I think you can get too old for it. I'll be shot for saying that, lads. I'm telling you, because so many youth workers would disagree with that, and they would say it's about your education and it's about your values and it's about your capacity to build relationships. And I agree with all of those things as well. But a part of me was just self-reflecting and saying, how much can I possibly have in common as a near 40-year-old man with, let's say, a young 14-year-old boy or girl? You know what they're into, you know what interests them, you know what they're all about, you can hear what they're experiencing and their take on the world. So those things will never go away. But ultimately, I just kind of felt, well, actually, no, I would feel prouder to pass the torch over to somebody a little bit younger, a little bit more connected with them, even in the sense of their age, and bring my expertise to a different area that still serves and meets the needs of young people. That's a very long answer to that question, lads. But I haven't been asked it often, so it was nice to do that reflective piece for myself.
Yeah, it was very
to your audience.
It was a very fancy way of saying you just couldn't have kept up with TikTok any longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't do TikTok, man. I don't do it.
Same, I can't.
Yeah,
and that's why you left.
Yeah. I'm only getting my head around Instagram. But no, I wouldn't be a big fan of TikTok. But look, God, I still pass those young people that I worked with day in, day out, every day in my community. I see them every day, and I chat to them, and I stop, and I have the crack. and have the chats and all the rest. But I just now know that my job is focused on something else, and it's something else that serves more young people across the county, and I would hope across the country, because it's part of that larger kind of, you know, organization with a shared value and a shared direction. So I'm very content. Tough transition, but a very welcome transition at the right time in my life. So
that's brilliant, man. Yeah, delighted to hear that. And it's an area as well that I think needs a little bit more focus. You know what I mean? Like mental health does get you hear more about it these days, but I think youth mental health is something that we probably don't hear as much about as often as we should. You know, because it's like I remember when I was a teenager, there was no such thing. Do you know what I mean? It just didn't. So for kids now to have somebody like you and to have supports that are starting to be built up around it, it's great to see. It's brilliant. So congrats on that, man. Well done.
Thanks so much. Yeah, no, I agree completely with you. My generation, you know, we obviously all knew how we felt, and we experienced the world in our own way and experienced adversities for ourselves. But maybe we didn't name it as well, and maybe we didn't seek help as much as we should have. But isn't it great that our generation has used that experience and that information to inform the next generation and tell them, well, do you know what? Actually, you should have these conversations. You should reach out for this help. You should ask questions and share about your mental health, because ultimately, in the long run, that's going to serve you the best. So I think we've learned from our experience of the world. And I think it's great that, you know, in their experience of the world, they're better placed to ask for that little bit of help. I have to apologize from the outset, by the way. I'm here at home. And lads, it's been a few years since we've had a chat on this podcast. I don't know if you know, but I have a battalion of children now. I have too many children in my place. I have 4 children now. Do you know what I mean?
Jesus, I mean, 5 is sort of sorted.
I'm absolutely sorted. Do you know what I mean?
That's all that you were aiming for, Adam.
No, I'm going for the full squad. I'm going for a 52-man squad.
You're going for a Royal Rumble.
I want to be able to cycle them. I want the off-season, pre-season training. I want to have different options on the bench for every position. And no, it's ridiculous. I have too many children. So you've heard a little bit of commotion in the background. That's because their mammy very kindly is removing them from this environment so we can have the chat in peace. But of course, before they do that, they have to get their 94 coats and their 20 scooters and, you know, every other thing that they've lost, they need to find imminently so that they can go and enjoy the world for a little while I can enjoy a conversation with you. So if you hear any background noise, I take full responsibility. Do you know what I mean? I just had too many children. That's what happened. I'm sorry.
It's all good, man.
It's gorgeous.
It's that's one of the things that's come from the last couple of years, though, isn't it? This Zoom world that we're all living in now, where people just kind of have grown accustomed to dogs in the background, kids in the background, neighbors, all sorts of crack just kicking off in the background. You just kind of go, that's it. No?
Do you know what? I welcome it with open arms. For too long, we made apologies for our everyday life.
Yeah.
And actually, do you know what? That's what should come first. So we all got used to the fact that in lockdown, we're all just human beings trying to do the best that we can do at the point in time that we're at. We all have normal lives going on in the background, irrespective of who we are. That's what comes first. Do you know what I mean? That is what comes first.
I mean, I think any corporate meeting can be livened up by a 4-year-old catching their finger in the door. It just it adds a sense of chaos that, to be honest, I think every meeting should benefit from.
Absolutely. And if you're sent back to the office, I think you should just be allowed to bring your children and your animals. And yeah, absolutely. Bring the lot with you. Do you know what I mean? Show up in your pajama bottoms. Who cares? You know what I mean? Exactly. Life's too short.
Listen, man, the idea of having to put on real world clothes. I mean, I have lived in shorts for over 2 years. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just, I've only been into the office about 3 times, I'd say, in 2 years. And every day I was like, why is below my knee got something covering it? I'm not into this at all anymore. This is just the effort of putting on stuff that doesn't have a stretchy waistband is just not like, no. Yeah, but how things been? So now that things have reopened them, because everyone's sick to death talking about COVID and all that, so we'll move along. But in terms of stuff reopening, that allows you to pursue your other amazing professional antics and make people laugh. So how are things going in the comedy world for you, man?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a busy few years, believe it or not, even with all your restrictions and pre-restrictions and post-restrictions. Look, I like the graft. I like the hustle of it. I like just getting up, performing, trying to make people laugh, trying to make people just have a good time, forget whatever's going on for them. You know, like I don't take comedy too seriously. I never got in it to be super serious about it. So there's been times, you know, over the years where I've not been funny, where I've been funnier than I was the time previous, where I've played small rooms, I've played big rooms. Look, the reason I'm saying this is comedy is being particularly kind to me at the moment, but I don't read into it too much, if I'm being honest with you. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really, really busy. Obviously, the Bingo Loco thing, I'm always very clear in saying I gig every weekend for Bingo Loco. It's not my baby. It's not my, I'd love to say, I came up with the idea, and you know, I mean, I brought it to where it's at, and that is, it is a worldwide, it's a global phenomenon. It's
William Mara came up with it, did he?
Will Mara is one of the three, yeah, that got behind it, and yeah, Stephen and Craig are with him in that as well, and then they've brought great people in on board with them as well, over time. Look, Will was the guy that reached out to me once upon a time, and he said, "Look, will you come and look at this show? I've seen you in Groove Festival in Bray, I think it was. He might have seen me hosting that at the Manor as well. And he said, I think you could be a fit. This might be a fit for you. Will you come look at the show?" Now, lads, I'm sure you will remember, especially when we did our one of those charity gigs in the Killiney Castle Hotel. I used to love the way you'd plug that before your podcast as well and sell the sandwiches and all that kind of stuff.
You have to get the plug in, man.
Yeah. You'll remember, or you might remember it. Like, my dad has supported my comedy career from day one, and you know, he would have been there at that gig and a lot of other gigs. And I remember just ringing him and saying, "Look, Dad, I've been invited to go see this show." And I said, "It sounds bizarre, and I'm not sure it's stand-up comedy, and I'm not sure I'm interested in it." And I said, "But they've invited me to go and watch it. What do you think?" I just enjoy hearing his perspective on things. He's not from the world of entertainment or anything like that. But he said, "Where is it?" And I said, "Vicar Street." And he goes, "Well, they must be doing something right if they're playing Vicar Street." I was like, "Fair. Okay, that's a fair point." So I went along and I met Will in the lobby. Will was wearing a fur jacket, nothing else on top, like his bare torso, fur jacket, top hat, cane. Met him for the first time. He was in full-blown Bingo Loco mode. I was like, "What is this?" Went in. You know, there was people dressed up in kind of, they looked like they were, I don't know, something from psychedelic 70s, kind of just mad costumes, afro wigs. I couldn't place anything. I didn't know what I was experiencing. I went into the show, and within the first 5 minutes, as they kick off this show, a 12-piece brass band walks through Vicar Street audience for no reason, for absolutely no reason. And I'm like, what? And then confetti and disco music. And I was just like, what is going on? And irrespective of not being able to answer that question, like, what am I looking at? I walked out of Vicar Street to make a phone call, not 10 minutes into that show. And I rang my dad and I was like, "Whatever this is, I'm joining it." I'm doing this. I'm joining this. It's chaos. And I joined, and I've worked gigs as small as 30 people, 30 brides, 30 hens at a, you know, bridesmaids and a bride in the Wellington bar, right up to 1,500 people in a bespoke marquee tent in Cork. And we're literally 10 days away from the Three Arena in Dublin. It's
So does bingo actually happen, Adam?
It does, yeah. So the way the show works is 9 rounds, 9 prizes, a holiday every show. We play bingo, some novelty prizes, some really fantastic prizes. But the simple way of looking at it is you play bingo, but as soon as a tune drops, and we have a DJ at every show, as soon as the DJ plays a tune, you put down your book, you put down your marker, you get up, you dance. And you dance until the DJ stops playing the music. And it's everything from 70s and 80s kind of pop, or 90s pop. I think 90s underpins a lot of Bingo Loco shows, right up to a rave round of 15 minutes of nonstop, real club classics from the Ibiza, era, if you like. It's just one of those things. You could explain it 100 times over in 100 different ways, and every show is different. But when you go to a Bingo Loco, it will never be the first and last time. Once you go once, you're coming back.
Well, I have to say, it's and I am by no means at all affiliated with Bingo Loco or anything like that. But my missus went, and she was one of the people who got to win a holiday. She went to Croatia.
Oh wow!
Off the back of Bingo Loco.
Wow!
Yeah. So that's she has literally raved about it ever since.
Yeah.
And they're just mental chaos and crack. It's just.
Yeah.
So how's the show in the Three Arena going to work in terms of, is it going to be all seating, or?
It's an XXL, which means it's one of our biggest shows. I've done a few XXLs across the country, in the Royal Theatre, in the Telegraph in Belfast, down in Cork as well. I think I did one in Killiney. But this is the biggest show we've ever done. It will be all seated, but we won't use all of the tiers within the Three Arena, but rather we'll use the majority of the flat we'll use, because there's extra space there when you fold up some of that seat. And we like to do those kind of long tables where you can sit with your friends, dance on the floor, not be worrying about toppling over drinks or, spilling over yourself. So yeah, they've brought in the team to kind of really look at how we maximize the space, but it's going to be thousands of people in there. And yeah, with XXL, you upgrade every prize from a normal show. So if we normally give away, 4 cans of beer as the first prize, this time you're getting a shopping trolley full of beer, like filled to the brim. Where your missus went to Croatia, we're giving away a trip to Las Vegas and Disney Orlando, Florida in the same
amazing, man.
In the same trip. So like we go extra large on every prize. And look, the guys have just been really supportive, really kind, really encouraging. They've given me great platforms, great opportunities. They trust me. They've allowed me to put my stamp on my show and work with lots of really, really amazing people. Lots of fun weekends. They're very kind to their staff, bring them on staff holidays across Europe, mystery holidays. They've done, we had a fake wedding once upon a time. We all got free tattoos and all sorts of stuff. They're a really unique crowd to work for. And
you're the MC of it all, is it, Adam?
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, I call the numbers, crack the jokes, make sure that we're staying on time. I have a bop. I love dancing around. I love dropping the confetti or using the CO2 gun, interacting with the audience. So just applying what I've learned over years and years. But the reality is, when you do a stand-up comedy gig, you're going to be on that stage anywhere between 15 minutes and a half an hour, let's say. That's generally what you're doing. When you do a Bingo Loco, it's an all-night kind of thing. It's a 3-hour show. You just feel like you put your heart and your soul into each show, and you really connect with the audience in a different way. And for me, as a performer, it's going to have a shelf life. I'm not getting any younger. None of us are. So I'll do this as long as it doesn't look odd that bloke on the stage is, dancing, where I need a Zimmer frame, or
that bloke with the 10 kids.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll do it as long as it's fun and I add value to the product and the audience can connect with what I'm doing. But, a big shout to the guys. They've quite literally made a couple of my dreams come true in terms of performance, and they've freshened up what performing is for me. I love stand-up, and that'll always be my bread and butter as a hobby. But this has just kind of given me this side project to focus on that gives me good vibes, good people to connect with, good energy, and regular work, what I mean? And there's a lot to be said for that. Like when the world shut down, these boys still had me in the studio on a green screen twice a week, every week, so that I didn't get rusty, and they did the same for the other performers.
Unreal.
So what started as a group of 40 people in Ireland is now a group of maybe 60, 70 in Ireland, double that in the UK, probably 50 or 60 in Dubai and Australia, and they've just gone global, and
amazing.
They deserve every little bit of success that they get, because however hard I work as a performer, they work twice as hard as the guys that are, essentially running it all out, so it's a great credit to them and they deserve every success.
Absolutely, man. So Bingo Loco XXL in the 3 Arena Saturday the 28th of May, lads. Tickets from the usual places, I assume. But well worth it. If you're looking for something to do for Saturday night, you won't find anything better crack, trust us.
Especially if you're in a holiday to fucking Vegas.
Well, yeah, and Orlando. Yeah, listen,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Or the shopping trolley full of bills. I mean,
Take the cans.
Listen,
take the cans.
Take the cans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the Hardy Har as well, man. The Hardy Har is back in business. Or well, what happened with it? So over the pandemic, because you were upstairs in the Harbour Bar and everything else, when pubs have had an absolute mare over 2 years, but now thankfully businesses are booming for them again. And you guys are back at it.
Yeah, we're back at it. Like, I mean, over the lockdowns and restrictions, we just stopped. There was no point in my mind in doing the online model. I'm there running that club to connect the audience to some quality comedy and to connect some comedians to some quality stage time. That's what it's about. It's a labor of love. I just love the Hardy Har. I love the Harbour Bar. I love Bray. I'll promote anything about Bray or in Bray. Except Bray Wanderers, and no, I'm just messing. But but I didn't see the logic in doing something that was kind of watered down. I did a few workshops for new comedians online over lockdown to see if I could offer them any encouragement or support or opportunities. So I enjoyed that. And like the comedy club, no charge to anybody. It's not about making money. It's about creating kind of experiences and supporting the scene and maybe just adding a little bit of value to the comedy scene in Ireland. We know what we are and what we're not. We're not one of the big clubs. Do you know what I mean? And we're not doing these shows that are going to cost you €30 to get into. You know what I mean? We fill a little niche and a local niche at that, and we're happy doing that. So we needed to take time out. And now that things are re-emerging, my room holds comfortably 70 people, 70. So like if I had been doing restricted shows or whatever, what would you be getting in there? 20, 25? What's the point? You know what I mean? So we're back to being able to offer, a full room. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. There's still a bit of work to be done to bring people back into the space. We've had busy gigs and less busy gigs. We need to build confidence with the audience that it's safe to go out and have a bit of fun again. But you also have to acknowledge different people are in different spaces. And I'm not here to make judgments on what people are comfortable doing and what they're not comfortable doing in relation to their health and public health and all that. We're running gigs, and if people want to connect with that, it's great. I love having the crack. I don't write any material from my own club. I just chat to the audience, have a bit of crack, make it all up as we go along, and then watch some good comedians, new and established. So yeah, we're back, and we've another gig on the 26th. I'm doing my solo show, and their previews, their work in progress shows in June and July, in the Hardy Har. So it'll be just myself and some of the people who've won my competition over the years for the best new act in the country. So I'm looking forward. I haven't produced a one-man, a solo show, a 1 hour show in 5 years. 5 years since I've done one. I had no desire. I was going to
say, you probably enjoy the ad lib stuff, when you're MCing more than you actually writing a show, do you?
I do. Yeah. My bread and butter again as a host is just dealing with what's in front of me and having fun and chats with people, and and you have to be careful in this day and age. I just enjoy ripping the piss, and not everybody enjoys that anymore. And people get kind of a little bit hurt by things maybe a bit easier than they used to be. So it's a little bit tougher, but then that's part of learning your craft and honing your craft and learning what people's cut-off points are and all. I used to be a very unfiltered person, and enjoyed being that. But I suppose even when I look at my day job and when I look at where I'm at age-wise and as a father and all, maybe I'm a bit more filtered than I used to be. But I still just enjoy finding the crack in the moment, and not reading into it too much. But a solo show is a different gravy, and that is, can I sit down? Can I write new material? Can I write an hour's worth of new material? Can I keep it thematic? Can people learn a little bit more about me? Can I give them an insight maybe that they didn't have before? They'd be my thought processes. when I write a solo show. Not everybody's, but they'd be mine. And I had no desire to write a new solo show, but then I kind of thought, well, it's been 5 years. I do have something I want to share with people. I do want to kind of produce new material. So I said, do you know what? The only way you do this is set yourself a goal. So I set the dates, started writing the jokes, and June and July, we'll give the jokes their first run out, see how they land, and then there'll be major rewriting between July and October, and then in October the show will go to a couple of festivals, and that's where it will really test the merit of the show. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, it's another
it's a hard process, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be enjoyable. You know, it is tough. So if you're not enjoying it, there's no point in doing it, I would say. It depends on what you want to achieve. A lot of comedians go over to Edinburgh. They spend 30 days over there. They'll do hundreds of versions of their show. They'll really refine it down. They'll take it on tour. Look, I'm at a different point in my life. I've got kids. I've got a day job. I've got other responsibilities. And so when I write a show, I want to throw everything out as it comes up in my head, how I want to tell a story, how I want to land jokes. I want to throw it all out there. I want to see what people really enjoy. I want to see what their commitment is over an hour, what their feedback is over the hour. And from that, I want to take new material from the show into my club set. So I kind of do it the opposite way around. So rather than building 4 15-minute sets and putting them in a 1 hour show, I'll write a 1 hour show. I'll try and deliver the best versions of that show over a set number of performances, and then learn what were the best bits that I would take forward with me. And that has worked for me in the past. I've seen it work really well for me in the past. I've done one show where I wasn't really happy with it and only took really forward about anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes out of a 1 hour show, where I was like, yeah, I'm keeping this because I feel it's really gold, it's solid. But I'd never produce a show like an hour of content where people are leaving unhappy and feel cheated after an hour. You got to produce the goods. People are giving up their time, and they can go to a million things over, or they could just watch Netflix until they literally pass away. So there's a reason there's a reason they're coming out to live comedy. You got to honor that and give them something. And I just think the one thing I have to my advantage is, in the worst case scenario where my material just wouldn't land with an audience, and I've been lucky that I've never really been, in that particular circumstance, but where if I really felt like, I've lost them, or it's just not landing, or they went with the first, 20 minutes, half an hour, they're not going with this, I'm a seasoned host. Hosting's what I do. So if it wasn't landing, I have full faith in what I can do in the room, in the moment, and make sure that people leave, after having some belly laughs. So I'll always lean back on that, but the real test is to write new material.
And do you take feedback well from people from Greystones?
Listen, I get myself in too much trouble with Greystones. I think I might need to actually do a little bit of therapy around the amount of times I reference people from Greystones and vegans and Crocs and
Crocs,
Crocs and dry robes. And then obviously, look, and this is part of my new show. I do actually, at the beginning of the new show, I do reference how, that Bray Greystones thing, and I had a terrible habit of calling them Protestants, right? Which is really a statement around affluence. What we know about Bray and Greystones is Greystones, you punch up in comedy. And the reason Greystones is a good target is they've got more money than us as a town. They've got the best of everything. Look, they're good people, but they do love their quinoa. And I imagine they have hedge funds, and they do well. So I would often make the Protestant jibe, if you like, as an affluence jibe, as a nod to the fact that, but you do forget that people are actual Protestants and feel that you have some sort of feeling about that. And the gas part is like, look, I know the history of the country, I know politics, I know all that kind of stuff, but fundamentally, and you have heard me say this on many occasions, I don't care. I'm not thinking that meta about things. It's not a political statement. As a person who's non-religious, it's certainly not a religious statement. It's not a statement on the history of the country or the fabric of the country. It's not trying to break down barriers or walls, and it's not trying to create them. It's a statement on affluence, and it's actually just a Springfield Shelbyville kind of thing. That's what it is. The grass is greener over at Greystones. But
it's because they showed the royal weddings on in their
well,
TV.
That is true. There's fellas from Ballybrack who haven't got past you saying hedge fund, and they're sitting there asking themselves, why would you need money to buy a bush? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. This is it. Like, and yeah, look, don't bring Ballybrack into it, because then I'll go the whole other side of things, you know, and get myself in trouble again. But I think these kind of regional little kind of, they're not even conflicts. It's just that kind of peering over your neighbour's fence and making your little judgments. I think they're funny. And I like punching up at Greystones, because ultimately, like, if I was given a house tomorrow in Greystones, I'd live there. It's a beautiful town. It's a great place. They're great people. I'm connected with a lot of their community. But in comedy, you try to punch up, and you try to punch up in a way that's safe. You know, we can all change things about it. You know, you go for what, you know, people can change very easily about themselves. We look at how people are dressed or how they behave, what their choices are in life. Do you know what I mean? If they choose to be a vegan, you know, that's something that you can kind of unpack and give them a bit of stick about. And being a full-blown Protestant, no, and you know, just having that extra bit of affluence, or having that, you know, let's say extra degree of privilege in the world and all. Look, that's something that we should be able to, you know, laugh at and
definitely,
you know,
man, and
not feel you know, too kind of pinned down or put under the microscope about. The other side of it, lads, as well, is though I do reference it a bit and all, but the other side of it is people then get used to your shtick as well. And I don't want to be the guy that's just known for Greystones bashing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'll always do it if there's people from Greystones in the room and it comes up naturally or whatever. And I love a happy pear joke or two. But but this show in particular, it nods to that. And I think there's been an evolution in me as a performer. And I think I nod to that in the show as well. I think I kind of tell people where I'm at and why I'm there. But yeah, I love it though. I do love it. I love all that kind of neighborly banter.
I'm gonna go a different direction here. Just whatever way you've turned, and I hope you don't mind me saying this. You're a fucking ringer for Ben Affleck at times there, man. Just the way you've moved your head. No, genuinely, look at the head on there.
There we go.
Look.
I've been trying to convince my wife of this as well. I've said it to her so many times. Aren't I the spit of Ben Affleck? And like Mero, she's like, no, you're not. You're nothing like him. But I'll take it. Listen, you could have said anybody there, any celebrity, and I still.
Danny can only see one eye, so
but that eye works incredibly well, Graham. So I mean, all I'm saying is, had Adam been strolling through Dalkey when Matt Damon was down there, Matt Damon definitely would have went, Ben. No, my bad.
I actually think I'm a poor man's Joel Dommett. If you know the comedian from the UK, Joel Dommett, we've the same beard, the same hair, but he's far more handsome and ripped. But we have we've mutual friends, and we actually met each other at the launch of Vodafone Comedy Carnival at one of the launch gigs and got a little photo side by side. And there are some similarities there, but I've heard a few people say, you're a bit like Joel Dommett, except, you know, Aldi version, you know. I certainly don't make the money he does out of comedy.
You're the rich version of Ben Affleck.
Yeah, I'm the spar bag he brought down to the seaside every day. Yeah, stuff.
This is it, man. But it's look, I mean, it's been good to catch up to, because as I said, it's been a few years and there's been lots going on and everything else. Delighted to hear the comedy's going well. Delighted to hear your professional life's going well. If only United could sort themselves out, man.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
You sound exhausted there about United.
Yeah, do you know I am and I amn't, and that's because now, see, this is where I lose a lot of credibility as a human being when I say this, and that is, look, I love football. I've always loved football. I enjoy it, but a long time ago, actually, when United were very successful at football, a long time ago, I made a very conscious decision to say to myself, I'm not letting football ruin my real life. And that's being honest with you, lads. Anyone who trained with me as a professional wrestler will tell you, geez, I don't remember Adam ever talking about football or going to the pub to watch the matches or whatever. I could still tell you what the United game finished every weekend, but wrestling was the be all and end all of my world. And I think you have X amount of time to give your mental energy to things. And at the time I was all about my now wife, but my then girlfriend, that relationship. I was all about wrestling, pro wrestling, learning to be a wrestler, learning how to coach. And it was around that time United were doing well around then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I'd love to see them doing well. But when I was young, when I was a young teenager, like football matches would make me cry if we lost. I remember I made my confirmation on the day that United did the double and Eric Cantona put the ball in the goal against Liverpool. And I remember like that was what defined my confirmation day. That was the most important thing that day. It wasn't the money I made. It wasn't my newfound authority and relationship with God and the church. It wasn't any of that. It was United winning the double. I enjoy seeing them win. They've been kind to me over the years. I've been to Old Trafford. I will go back again. There's something nostalgic in supporting the club. I still have heroes. I still have a signed Brian Robson testimonial program. I still have my first jersey. I still kept my first ticket stub. But at the end of the day, lads, when I watch any kind of football now, when the game's over, the game's over. I move on about 5 minutes later. What I'd say about United is...
That's the kids doing that to you.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what? It probably is because, the funny part is they are the solution. You watch a shit game and then you go for a swim with your kids and you kind of realize what's important. I love the banter. I love the crack. I still hate Liverpool. I still hate Man City. I don't want to see them doing well, but I never understand these people who wish ill to other people's, let's say, success or their moment in the sun or whatever it is. I don't understand fans like that guy I saw yesterday who attacked somebody from
Billy
the playing staff. Yeah, I don't get that. And I understand for some people it is that important. I don't get Arsenal fan TV. I don't get that level of emotion, and probably would as a child have been there. And I'm not saying this, lads, you can check in on me. two or three seasons down the line, when United come good and win their next trophy or find their next, form or success or go through the next patch. I'm being honest with you. I enjoyed watching United under Solskjaer. I don't care what anyone else said. I like him. I think he's a club legend. He had a great away record. He had a great relationship with the players. He obviously got a lot out of what turned out to be some very toxic personalities, and he still placated them and got the best out of them. I liked him. I didn't find that generation of United players to be too taxing on me. I much less preferred the Van Gaal era of sidewards football. I don't really like Jose Mourinho and how conservative he is in a game of football. But in the sphere and the realms of all the things going on in my life, United are just one part of my identity. It's terrible that they're going through such a bad patch. But if you support a club whose worst moments are finishing sixth in the Premier League, got Ronaldo on the pitch every week, still scoring spectacular goals, still filling their stadium with fans who care about the club. If that's the worst your club experiences, well, then you've got Greystone's privilege in your football life. You know what I mean?
I was going to say you sound like the third happy pair.
Yeah. No, but honestly,
your spirituality there.
I'd rather, to be honest with you, I'd rather go out and kick a football myself and get the benefits of that. It's football. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking anything from anybody where football is their passion. But I'm clearly just not as passionate a football fan as other people. I love the banter. I probably enter into the banter more when we're on the good side of the banter. You know what I mean? I probably just I actually just enjoy, I don't believe what I say, but I enjoy winding people up. Lads, I know what I'm going to do if Liverpool don't win the league. And that is, I'm just going to post a picture of Boise from Only Fools and Horses laughing. That's all I'm going to post. And I know that will be enough bait for some Liverpool supporters to jump onto my social and say, you're laughing at us, but look at your joke club and yada yada. And I know that will just spark them. And that's actually what I enjoy about the banter of football. I enjoy just kind of poking the bear and then saying, boy, I suppose I'm a little bit of a troll, but I not to the degree that it really.
You've gone full circle here in your explanation. Falling out of love with football, but
I love that banter, and I love
it's the mischievousness, isn't it?
It's the devilment, isn't it? But I don't actually buy into it, and if others choose to buy into it, that's their choice, but I don't really. So if somebody comes back at me and they're like, your club's shit, I'm kind of like, yeah, it is a bit shit at the moment, isn't it? Like, I've noticed that. I've been looking at the results. Can't disagree with you there, but it does emotionally, it doesn't impact me because look, life's too short for that. But again, no judgment on people who their heart and soul is in supporting, because that's their hobby. That's what they're into. I have different hobbies.
You mentioned pro wrestling there, and I think the last time we were talking to you, and we asked kind of like if you still follow it and whatever, and you were kind of like, I don't really get the time to. I don't really, you kind of you see the main things, but like, has having kids given you a chance to kind of get them into it, and therefore you're getting the.
Oh no! Look, lads, one thing I'd say to you is, whatever my kids choose to be into, I have 3 girls and a boy, and my boy's only a baby, whatever my girls are into, they're into. They don't need to inherit any of my interests, hobbies. They've done gymnastics. They love a bit of swimming, and I'm loving doing that with them. And they love a bit of swimming. They're into their dancing. They're into certain TV shows. My eldest is just Harry Potter mad. That was never in our home before her. We weren't really into Harry Potter. Love it now because she loves it. And the wrestling thing, no, look, if they seek it out, if they find it, I won't discourage them from watching. I got many, many, many years of enjoyment out of wrestling. I just never dipped back into it, lads, and that's because I can't look at it the way I used to before I became a wrestler. Before I knew how wrestling works, I was a fan, and that's all I was. And I wasn't a mark. I didn't really know the inner workings. I was proper Hulk Hogan generation. I was a Hulkamaniac, and I was into the Monday Night Wars and all that kind of stuff. And I just bought into it as a fan. Then I became a wrestler, understood how the whole industry works, saw the evolution and growth of the industry, saw it transforming into something that really I was sold on a way that wrestling should be. And in hindsight, those years were honestly some of the best years of my life, and the people I met were some of the best people of my life that I've ever met. And geez, if you gave me the opportunity to spend time with them tomorrow, I'd bite your arm off. Great people. But one regret I do have is I learned wrestling in a way at a particular time where we weren't the best people. There was the locker room culture. We weren't shitheads either. But it was a real kind of boyish kind of, manly man kind of culture of, you got to be tough, bit jackassy. And we were the jackass generation as well. If you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. Yeah. And even as a coach, for every 3 or 4 lads I was bringing on, there'd be one lad I'm kind of telling them, you got to get tougher if you want to make. I treat comedy in a completely different way, and that is my learning, and you got to take that with you. But it did kind of, maybe it's the youth worker in me. Just when I reflect back on it, it's not that I'm not proud or embarrassed of anything I did, but I just know I could do a better job if I was doing it now. I know I could be a better coach, a better example, a better teacher. I just think I could be stronger and have stronger values. But again, I'm not saying this as if like we didn't chop some guy's arms and legs off, and that's your initiation. we're not that, But I just felt like we came through a particular time where the whole industry was a little dog eat dog, us versus you, company versus company. We were watching Monday Night Wars and replicating it locally in Bray versus the lads out in Dublin. And now they have evolved. That scene in Ireland has evolved where they all look after each other and scratch each other's backs, and they're a really close-knit community. And I just dropped out before it became that, because I went on to Pastures New for no other reason than I hated taking bumps. I just hated it. So it's much better than it was, but I suppose I can't really look at wrestling through those rose-tinted glasses anymore. I can't get back into it the way I did. That's a very long way of telling you that, like, I've not entered back into it, and I'm not encouraging my kids to enter into it, because I don't encourage them to enter into anything. It's up to them what they're interested in. They're allowed to try everything. If they express an interest in anything, me and their mom will make sure they have an opportunity to try it and fall in love with whatever floats their boat. But if they come across it, I'll tell them how their dad was once the first heavyweight champion in the country, how he fought the world's most dangerous man, how he headlined the first shows that had a champion on in the country. I'll tell them all those stories, and they'll probably look at me and go, "No way." Yeah. You're 14 stone soaking wet. Get over yourself, Mr. Ego over there. You know, I'll share the stories. And my brother had a habit over years. He used to buy me wrestling figures, like classic WWE superstars. And would you believe he's buying me these when I'm 19, 20, 21, and he's into model cars and collector's items and all that. That floats his boat. I'm not so much into toys and stuff like that. And so when you buy them, here's a mad one for you lads. When you buy them, I never unboxed one of them. I kept them all in their boxes, and I said, someday if I have a son and he's into wrestling, I'll give him all of these. And now I have a little son, and if he's into wrestling, there's about 30, 40 figurines and boxes from the classic WWE superstars in my mum and dad's attic, and he can unbox them and play them or keep them or sell them or do whatever he wants. And that goes for the girls as well. I'm not gender discriminating. It's just my girls are a bit older. They don't seem to have an interest in wrestling. So it's likely it'll be him. But if one of them turned around and said, "Can I have those?" Yeah, you can have those. They're yours. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. It was a really important part of my life at a point in time in my life. Yeah. I love all the guys and girls that have gone on to be super successful, both nationally and internationally. But it's just one of those weird things where you just drop out of it, and then you don't really feel any kind of sense of connection with it as time goes by. You know what I mean? And that is what it is. But sure, as I say, they're all fun with flag.
There's a few quid in them wrestlers, man. I recently, after a long-winded argument with my significant other, won a battle where I got to put Ric Flair on top of the Christmas tree, because fuck putting an angel on top of the Christmas tree. So she wanted to put a star on top of it, and I was like, no, that's boring. Let's do something different. And then I went to buy a Ric Flair figure or whatever, and there are fellas making a killing off this stuff. I can tell you that much. And I was like, holy shit, like, some of them are going, like, for going on to eBay, and some fella was charging 120 quid for some particular type or whatever. But if you're getting 120 quid a pop per, now not all of them are Ric Flair, obviously, but at the same time. Yeah,
I do have a Ric Flair. I know of a Ric Flair, and I think of an Undertaker as well. Look, my brother picked all these out, do you know what I mean? He picked some dingers now, in fairness. But yeah, like, I mean, I was a man in my 20s. I didn't play with action figures. And I was actually too busy actually wrestling people to be unpacking these wrestlers. But it was lovely gesture on his behalf. A lot better than what I used to do for him, because I may have told you this before, but my brother, once upon a time, I bought him the Goonies. I think I told you this on a previous podcast. I bought him the Goonies in May for his birthday. I forgot about that and bought him it again at Christmas. And he told me, "You already bought me this." So I've just bought him that every birthday and Christmas since. Because if you're going to pick me up on my present not being good enough, if you're going to be that audacious, then for the rest of your life, that's your present for the rest of your life. So he still gets the Goonies.
That audacious.
Have you at least got him a Blu-ray version of it?
Yeah, you weren't expecting that word, where you dropped into the conversation. The audacity. The sheer audacity of you correcting my present. So
throwing it back on your brother for your mistake. I love
it. Did he have a milestone birthday where you at least upgraded the Blu-ray or that? No, or is it just being steady and consistent.
No, it's hard to get the Goonies now on DVD.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah.
It's a bit of work. I think in fairness to me, I think for his last birthday or Christmas, I do think I didn't get, or maybe I did get the DVD as well, but I got him Chunk from the Goonies in one of those, those kind of pop head kind of toys, those figurines. Yeah. I got him one of those to spice things up, you know what I mean? But no, there's no upgrades, do you know what I mean? But yeah, look, it is what it is. Don't call me out on my present. If you get a present, you're already privileged. So don't call me out on the present, okay? That's my take on it.
That's advice for life, man. That is advice for life. Yeah. Adam, it's been great catching up with you, man. And the gigs again. So Bingo Loco, 28th of May in Tree Arena. Hardy Har is back Thursday, 26th of May in the Harbour Bar in Bray.
That sounds right, yeah.
And then your solo shows, you said June and July for them. And they'll also
June
be
and
Harbour
July.
Bar.
And then I've got bunches of gigs around the country. I'll be doing a few little more solo shows. I think I'm doing Dunleary. And then All Together Now Festival, I'll thankfully be hosting that, the comedy tent again this year at All Together Now Festival. I'd love to say that I have a website and all that stuff, lads, but I don't. And I'm terrible on social media. I just don't have that game in me either. But people are more than welcome to come along and support any of them. And I will just say as well, with all those solo shows, until the festival solos, all those solos are free to come along. If it's a work in progress, it's free. If people feel they need to make a payment, they can just pay it forward to a charity of their choice or whatever, and that's what I do with my own fees from the venues in those spaces. If I'm trying out stuff, we just pass the fee on to a charity, and so people are more than welcome to come along and support. But yeah, that's it, lads. I don't have much to sell, do you know what I mean? Like I was only coming here for the chats, do you know what I mean?
Man, it was good to have the chat though.
The chats and the catch up, you know what I mean? That's the best part.
That's it. And look, and you're leaving now knowing that somebody else has reaffirmed your Ben Affleck doppelganger status. So
this is it. This is absolutely it. Can I put that on the poster for my next solo show?
Absolutely, definitely.
He looks like a Ben Affleck, is it?
Wish version of Ben Affleck.
Wish Ben Affleck.
Yeah. And then I can write What's the Story podcast after that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Go for it.
Now, the thing is, you think I won't do it. But you see, those posters and all these quotes and all this, this all means nothing to me. Like, as I said to you already, lads, I'm riding a wave here. And it's all a Brucey bonus. There's peaks and troughs. It's fun. It's good at the moment. But I don't care. I'm not precious about any of it. So I could put up the really, nice quotes from the established festivals and clubs and from, Joe.ie. They have a lovely quote about me, Joe.ie. They call me a legend. Do you know what I mean? Lovely. But a Wish version of Ben Affleck, What's the Story podcast. I'm actually going to put that on the poster. And there it is.
There it is.
Amazing, man. Yeah. Great stuff. But, right, well, hopefully now we'll get to go along and see you on the posters in person and see you in person doing your thing, man. It'd be great to see it again.
Well, if you don't, I'm just going to stand outside the Killiney Castle Hotel, even though you're not in there anymore. And I'm just going to chuck eggs at the windows. And when they come out and go, what are you doing? I'll say, it's the lads from What's the Story. They promised they'd be there and they never showed up. Yeah,
it's fair. It is fair.
Yeah,
and I think
fair.
I think that the hotel will understand, more importantly. So,
They might try and catch the eggs in one of their ciabatta sandwiches, only $6.95, including a small Coke. Yeah. That's how your podcast used to sound at the start.
You missed the Manscaped days.
Did you have Manscaped?
We did, and I tell you, those reads are fun.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm enjoying sitting in this comfy pube-free chair right now. Coming to you from Manscaped. Is that what they do?
Pretty much, man. Pretty much.
Toiletries for your balls.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
We tried to record the ad material together, and we honestly tried for about 40 minutes one night, and we just kept getting the giggles like two teenage boys. And Danny had to just do it himself in the end.
Which is not a euphemism. It's the right tools for your family jewels is their tagline. Which,
no way. I'll give you a good one though, lads. When I do Bingo Loco XXLs, one of my favorite things that I don't get anywhere else in any of my other performances, they have the guy that does that like X Factor voice doing the
Yeah.
intro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's welcome to the stage. One of those lads. Listen, 14 years of stand-up comedy just for that. It's worth it. It's worth it. You just walk out like Billy Big Bollocks and you're like, here I am. Ric Flair on top of your Christmas tree? No. Adam Burke walking into the Tree Arena to the guy off the X Factor doing the voice, you know, styling and profiling. You think you're deadly. You think
Absolutely.
you're deadly until your wife takes you down a peg or two after the gig and goes, now, you may park all of that. Get the ego aside. There's 15 children to be minded. Yeah.
On that note, we'll let you get back to those 15 children, man, because they've been out long enough now, so bring them in from the cold. But it's been great catching up, man. Thanks so much. All the best with the gigs, and hopefully we'll catch you at one of them soon enough.
Sound, lads.
Thanks so much, Adam. Talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Great to catch up with Adam again. Been a while.
It has been a while. He looked great.
He did. Big Ben Affleck heading him, I'm telling you. But yeah, look, it's good to see people in the entertainment industry getting back out there and doing their thing after 2 years of being, you know, messed about one thing and the other. It's good to see things getting back to how they were and people getting to make a living again. So yeah, more power to them. And do check out Bingo Loco, lads. I'm telling you now, it's a night you won't forget. Absolutely amazing. Right, that's it for this week. That has been fantastic. Graham, Merrigan, people want to listen to previous episodes of this podcast, they're going to do so.
They can go to WTSpod.com, or else they can go anywhere and everywhere you can get a podcast, such as Podcast Republic, Stitcher, Podbean, Apple Podcast. All you have to do is search WTSpod and we will be there. He's at Danjo Murray on Twitter. I'm at Merrigan Mania. We're at WTSpod on Twitter. Until next time,
Clear eyes,
full hearts, and we cannot lose.